I like that. Floor.
Yeah. So
misspelled floor.
Misspelled floor. Yeah. I mean,
Misspelled floor.
The lazy person's version of it. Right?
I like it. I know, but that's good. It's going to be memorable now because someone's going to go, that doesn't spell floor. It doesn't spell. It does. Phonetically, it does. Okay.
Yeah. So, and just wait till we add the T there, Eric, for the transaction, and it's flort. So then watch people's heads scratch. Okay. We'll see.
At MBA Chartered Professional Accountants, we have 3 core beliefs. 1, we believe that business owners are the most important people on the planet. 2, we believe that the traditional accounting firm business model is flawed and fails to serve you. And 3, we believe the MBA way gives you what you truly want and deserve, resources and advice that helps you grow your business and your life. This is the MBA Way podcast. Hi, everybody. It's Eric Solbakken, and welcome back to the MBA Way podcast. Today on the show, I have a fella that I just met the other day, went for lunch with some guys. Mike Sequoia actually was in the last podcast I did, I think the last one or the one before, from Cavello Financial, and him and Tanner introduced me to this guy at lunch, and we hit it off like a house on fire. Instantaneously, we saw each other, things eye to eye. And the really exciting thing that I want to share with you today is what he's got coming next. He's got a brand new platform specifically for business owners. And I'm just going to tease you a little bit. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is yet, but let me introduce my guest first. His name is Jeff Swan, and he is a 4X entrepreneur and an M&A advisor with over 18 years of experience in the tech and industrial sectors. So Jeff specializes in helping business owners prepare and achieve successful exits. He's also he's one of the principals and founders of what's sell-side M&A. So if you have a buy-sell scenario, Jeff's the guy to go to. But the thing that we're going to really get into is called a happyexit.com. It's a brand new platform. I'm really excited to get into that and to let our listeners know about that resource. Without further ado, Jeff Swan. Jeff, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Eric, thank you so much for having me. We hit it off right away at lunch, and I knew that we were going to we'll have some good conversations, and hopefully we can give value to a whole bunch of people listening or watching, because I think we both have a lot to share. Yeah.
And I'd say this a lot on the podcast. This is what I've really enjoyed about it, is that I get to have great conversations with people and to bring more resources. So that my focus is always like, okay, let's change. There's 3 things I want people to get, as I want them to get new ways of thinking, right? New ways of thinking. Yeah. I want them to have access to new resources. Yeah. And I want to have access to new potential collaborations. So like if we can change your thinking and give you new thinking, new resources, and new collaborations, you can grow your business and your life. And so you check the boxes for all 3 of those. So I'm really excited to get into this. So as always, I like to just do a little backstory. So can you tell me a little bit more about your backstory, what got you into sell-side M&A and then eventually into Happy Exit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was one of those kids you hear on all the podcasts and stuff. It's this typical story, at 11, 12 years old, I was selling things just because I love business, right? So naturally, when I got into the business world, I dedicated, the first 18 years of my career just helping others, the business owners, like grow their business. So grow their revenue, grow their sales, grow their marketing and all that kind of stuff. And it took me very much into both the tech and the industrial spaces. So tech, obviously, because it's fast growth. It's exciting. It's all over the news and everything. It's really cool to be part of something huge that grows from nothing to a multi-million-dollar business overnight. And I loved being in that industry, but my roots, like I grew up on the job site. So I always wanted to connect back with that industrial space. I was the guy at 12 years old, just sledgehammering concrete with my bare hands and
Yeah, I totally understand that. My dad had a construction company. I'm first generation Canadian. So my parents came over from Norway, and I was born here a couple months later. My dad eventually started his own construction company. So as a kid, my first job was going to the construction site with my dad, and he taught me everything about business, but basically like, get the hammer, kid, and go, right?
Yep.
Just get the hammer and go. And there's something so great about that. getting in and getting your hands dirty in the business to understand what it is. Had a great conversation on the last podcast, and it was all about getting in your hands dirty, getting and touching and feeling it. So yeah. Again, another one of those check marks why I understand why we get along so well.
Exactly, right? We click right away because it's like when you literally roll up your sleeves to get the job done. When you're in the office and you're moving mountains and changing the face of an entire industry, you know what it feels like to actually literally get your hands dirty. So I take those two experiences, which seem a little bit divergent, but it's helped round me out on how I actually view a company, right? From that, strong, grounded, asset-based business in industrial all the way to that high-flying tech that's really built all about speculation and possibility. And so I have that nice spectrum. And what happened was I was working with all these tech clients and I was helping them do some really cool stuff. But then I just kept getting drawn back in industrial. So I took on a client out of Brooklyn, New York that was in flood mitigation. So they were selling physical barriers that would prevent properties, businesses, buildings, what have you, from overland flooding. So that's the flooding that comes from rivers and lakes and oceans and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
Or they could have used it down in New Orleans.
Hey, I'm sold products there. So,
yeah.
So I took on a client and we did 100% year-over-year growth in the first 5 months. So I said, wow, I could take this stuff that I've learned in tech and just really crush it in the industrial space. So it turned into the last company that I owned and operated, which was a flood mitigation company. And I just loved it. It spoke to me, traveled all across the US, through the States, through Canada. I had suppliers out of Europe, out of Asia, and all these other things. And I was bringing that type of flood protection throughout North America. What was really cool about it, though, is that I got an opportunity a couple of years into the job. I got an opportunity to actually sell the business to a construction group out of Toronto. Going through that process of actually exiting my own company and selling it, I got a pretty penny for it. I felt good about it. My legacy was secured. I literally had what we now call a happy exit, right? And it led to so many other projects that made me realize I can do this for other people. So I founded Sell-Side M&A with my partners in order to kind of make that process easy. And I wanted everybody else to have that amazing experience that I do. So I leveraged my tech background, experience, the connections and network that we have in order to put a company in a position to get the highest possible value, to attract the most amount of I call it the right buyers, right? That will take care of your baby and treat it right so that, you can look back and say, I built that. And then make it easy for them to actually put to market and sell. So our consulting company goes through all of that, but then, as I start to work with, assess companies, and unfortunately we're a small firm. We can only take on so many. So we have a really strict process of assigning who we actually do business with. It might only be 5 or 6 companies at a time. With the 3 of us. So, and we give that, deep concierge service. So unfortunately, I was sending a lot of people away based on, I don't know if this is marketable, based on deals I've seen fall through, right? Companies that I've seen market for months and months, years and years. And I said, why don't we develop a framework and a system that any business owner can use to get their business ready for sale so that they too can have that happy exit that I had. Okay. And then that, happyexit.com.
So yeah, we jumped right into happyexit.com. I wanted to come back quickly just to Sell-Side M&A, and you answered a few of the questions I had in my head, which was, you were because you actually went through your own exit, you became an expert in experience and with technical skills to help other people sell their businesses. So you have this M&A, and that's one of the things that I find maddening, and I always bring it back to the accounting profession. We used to call it the ivory tower syndrome in the accounting profession, because you'd have this accountant sitting in their ivory tower telling you, as you, the business owner, how you should be doing your business when they had no idea how to do business in the first place. Right? Do you know what I mean? Like it's mind-boggling to hear advice from people that don't know, that have never done it themselves, but they're telling you how to do it because they read it out of a bloody book, right? It drives me fucking crazy. Okay. Yeah. And so here's the thing. You actually exited your own business. You built it up. You got your hands dirty. You grew it from the ground. You got it to that size and you exited it. So you understand all the feelings and the emotions that our listeners have. And that's the thing, is having that empathy and understanding that, and I say this often, business is hard. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But there's like, they talk like the percentage of entrepreneurs in the world, it's like 5% maybe. There's 5%, or maybe that's even too high. It's probably even lower than that. But it's a small percentage of people are actual entrepreneurs. The fact is that you experienced it, and then you were able to help them with sell side M&A, and then and doing that. So that's one of the new collaborations that I wanted to be able to bring to our listeners to say, hey, if you're looking at selling, sellsidemna.com, go talk to Jeff. He understands it. He knows the process, and you can get ready for that. Now, this is where the switch comes in. You then found, right, a problem in the model because you couldn't there's such a huge demand out there, people exiting, and we've got a glutton coming. I mean, I don't know if you have any numbers or stats on this, but I know that the baby boomers are all exiting, and that's a big demographic. And as they're coming out, there is going to be a massive shift of value and wealth and businesses moving to the next generation. And so there's going to be a huge amount of transactions coming.
Oh yeah. Like last time I checked, the numbers were 2/3 plus of business owners were approaching or exceeding retirement age.
Did you say 2/3?
2/3. Yeah. Now this is market driven. There are some markets where this might not be the truth. Again, we mentioned Silicon Valley as an example. A lot of them are young founders under the age of 40, but, when you're looking at, your nuts and bolts, dirt on the ground businesses with assets, the majority of business owners are in that category or experiencing a transition right now. So that massive transaction glut, that's happening right now, Eric. So wow. We're seeing that there are so many businesses moving hands, and they're moving on to that next generation of business owners that are, kind of like us, right? Like we're still got a lot of gas in the tank. We still got a lot of years to go. But we have experience. We've been through it, and we can actually take that business and run with it and make it into something better. So you're seeing that happen left, right, and center right now. And there are a lot of transactions happening. And again, one of my huge motivators is to make sure those transactions end in smiles and not tears.
Right. So again, for sell side M&A, just so we can have some clarity for the listeners here, it's like, if your business, we talked about this roughly, like in terms of size of business. Yeah. What is the right fit of business for sell side M&A for concierge service that you're talking about?
Yeah, so we operate primarily, our sweet spot is about $5 million to $50 million business. So that would be the transaction value of what it would sell for. Okay. A lot of those, there are a lot of businesses in that 1 to 5 million category that we will entertain. If we really like it, we agree, we believe in the founders, what they're doing and what they've accomplished, and really what the opportunity is. So we will work with those on occasion, but primarily it's in that 5 to 50 million category. And what a company looks like at that stage, we kind of lean towards those categories I was mentioning, more industrial, more hands-on type businesses. This is what all our buyers are looking for, right? They have experienced management teams. They've been in business over 10 plus years. They might have physical assets. They have sticky customer bases. So I'm talking about a company that is, by any objective matter, this is a company that you yourself would want to own, buy, work for, that kind of thing, right? So we're really stringent on that, making sure that the company performs well under due diligence, so that we know with confidence that when I take on your business for sale, Eric, like I know that I'm going to get a buyer for you within the next 3 to 12 months.
Awesome. Okay, great. So there goes so for our listeners, again, if your enterprise value, and we're talking not sales here, we're talking enterprise value, like this, what you could sell your company for, somewhere between 5 to 50 million, sell side M&A would be your go-to resource to find the right buyer and maximize the amount that you can take home. And then, of course, and you and I talked about this, Jeff, Peter McFadden, our founding partner at MBA, he is an M&A specialist. He's done M&A around the world. So he would, and I would love to see the day for you and us to work together to help a client exit, because then you can combine some superpowers together, which is like taking the unique ability that you have with the unique ability that we have on that, and put them together to really maximize the return for the client.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the day that we get to meet, go for a patio session, whatever, and just talk some stuff. I guarantee there's going to be some synergies, and we'll probably end up doing some work together.
Yeah. So then let's shift the conversation then. So then you went to the next question, which I was going to get to, was that so from sell side M&A, what gave you, like, why did you come up with a happy exit? What was the problem that you saw out there, and then what is the solution that a happy exit gives it?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look at M&A, you look at a lot of the firms out there, you're typically looking at those big financial firms that, like you said, look at it for the numbers, right? They look at it for the numbers. It's an accounting exercise for them. And typically they charge, 6-figure plus retainers before you even get a chance to go to market. And then they'll look at it as a financial exercise. And a lot of company owners, like business owners, they get frustrated because when you're looking at your entire life's work as just like some numbers on a spreadsheet, well, metrics don't really represent the real true business value drivers, right? Now, as we know, when you go to finance that business transaction, if you're buying a business, your accountant, your finance people, they're all going to be looking at this as a financial exercise. So you can never ignore financial health, stability, and success. Okay. However, there are so many drivers of a successful acquisition from the buyer's perspective that may not even be looking at the books. It could be, exclusive rights to a category, a customer group, specific IP or certifications that you can't get without. I'll give you an example of the liquor industry. So liquor industry, there's only so many liquor licenses available in your market, and sometimes people have to actually acquire a company just for the right to sell liquor, right? And that's just like an example of a regulatory limitation where you might need to actually buy into the market, literally, right? So at that point, the financial exercise of the company isn't as important as even just obtaining that license, right? And there's tons of examples of that throughout an organization. It might be some really cool, we don't like to focus on staff because staff aren't guaranteed to be in the business, but it could be some really cool processes. It could be some really cool like team dynamics or work culture that somebody wants to bring into their business from an acquisition perspective, and there's strategic value there. You just triggered a thought in my head, and I have a coaching program that I participate in. It's called Strategic Coach, and Dan Sullivan is my coach. And what I do is I'm a coach. I do strategic coaching for business owners, specifically targeted to accounting firms, but I also do it with other industries as well, because I've worked with over 1,000 business owners, so I have that skill set. But the interesting thing is, I say, if you have a coach who doesn't have a coach, you need a new coach. I have a coach, right? So Dan was talking about this the other day about the value of a company, and you said something in there about the value of the company. There's a hidden value in your business. And I want you to our listeners to think about this, that in the past, the value of a business used to be 84% on hard assets and 16% on intellectual property. So we'll call it the intangibles. That has flipped itself. And now the massive amount of value in a company can be, it's 84% is in the intangibles, shall we call it the intellectual property, and the 16% is in the hard assets. And so the interesting thing is there is so much value in your business that is untapped. And one of the programs they have at Strategic Coach is called is IP Builder, which is Intellectual Property Builder, is going in and finding about those unique processes you have in a business. Not only finding them, but name them and own them. And so it becomes actually registering your IP
around your processes and your procedures. And it actually, you can register it on blockchain. There's a bunch of other ways of doing this where it actually becomes a tangible, where you have this process and procedure that actually is incredibly valuable, but it's a hidden value because it doesn't show up in your balance sheet and it doesn't show up on a traditional M&A person coming in and going, well, if you're not worth 5 to 10 million, and you as an owner going, I don't think my company's worth 5 million. Well, guess what? If you look inside it, there's a bunch of hidden value in there. Like, have you gone deep into that rabbit hole?
Yeah. So we have kind of 4 major components of our framework. So what we do is we start with a very simple assessment. We just have like an exit readiness grader. You go through it. It takes several minutes, and you get kind of like a score for your company. So you'll know whether or not you have the indicators that you're ready for a happy exit or you're not.
Okay. Is this in this score card? Where's this? Where can people access this score?
Yeah. So we have kind of like a light version. We're going to be releasing, I have a light version on sell side M&A. So I'm going to share that link with you right now, Eric.
Okay. We'll make sure we get it into the show notes. Yeah. And so this is the exciting part. This is what I love about this, is that a happyexit.com is just being born. Yeah. It's just start. And this is the best part. It's like, there's a miss in the market here for this big group of people that don't fall under the category of a big M&A. So we call it even the sell side M&A kind of center potentially, or the traditional models from the other M&A firms. So Happy Exit is going to give the resources for those people in that middle space. So anyways, so you got a light version on sell side M&A. I'm assuming on a happyexit.com, they're going to have access to that as well, right?
Absolutely. So the one on happyexit.com is going to be comprehensive, probably 40 questions, something like that. Should take about 20 to 30 minutes if you know your business. But at the output, you're going to have a score where you're going to see the value drivers of each of the 4 categories that we look at. So we measure finance, legal, operations, and revenue. So a really simple acronym for that, Eric, is FLOOR.
Okay, so say that again. So this is the 4 areas that drive value in the business.
Yeah. So there's finance.
Yeah, finance, legal,
operations, and revenue.
Can you just quickly go through each one and just kind of expand on those so our listeners can? I like that. FLOOR. Yeah.
So
misspelled floor.
Misspelled floor. Yeah. I mean,
misspelled floor.
The lazy person's version of it. Right?
I like it. I know, but that's good. It's going to be memorable now because someone's going to go, that doesn't spell floor. It doesn't spell. It does. Phonetically, it does. Okay.
Yeah. So let's wait till we add the T there, Eric, for the transaction, and it's floored. So then we'll watch people's heads scratch. Okay. We'll see. But when you're looking finance, you're looking at financial health and stability. So you're looking, does this company have the ability to pay for itself? So like when you buy a home, the bank is looking at it to give you a mortgage to make sure that is this home actually worth what you're paying for it so that it can finance itself, right? So if you have an operating business that is at level or growing revenue and profitability, and has a consistent revenue, then you can take it to the bank or your financier or your investor, and they know that business, if you never did anything, it could run itself. Okay?
Got it.
That's another reason why we look at, management and things like that. And we'll get to that in a second. Okay. When you're looking at legal, you're looking at your contracts. Is the company legal? Are there any hidden partners out there that when you sell, they're going to stop the transaction or whatever else, right? Do you have sticky contracts with suppliers, with partners, with key employees, things like that, okay? Is there IP? So that's the legal side. Is there IP that you can literally sell and lease and that kind of stuff? Okay.
And hidden IP. This is one thing that I was really starting to get my head wrapped around and going. So like, for the example, the accountant success formula, I've gone through and I've created a whole, I think about 100 thinking tools and different things in there. I've registered all of them. I trademarked all of them. They're all in there. That becomes part of my intellectual property that I never used to think about before. And so I've been thinking about this a lot for businesses going, how much intellectual property is inside your business that just needs to be captured? And that not in a big sense that you got to go spend a bunch of money and get a bunch of copyrights and patents and all that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just own it, name it, own it, value it. Right. Yeah. And so there's that. I love that. So in the legal is the IP, and then we have operations. You said operations is the next up.
Yeah. Do you have any key certifications? Do you have like Six Sigma? Have you done things in your operations that make it consistent, strong? If somebody takes over, are there manuals there that their people can come in and take over without disrupting the business? Do you have enough employees? Do you have the right employees, the right organizational structure, and all these kinds of things, right? Like, what are the things you're going to need to see taking over this company in order to run it, grow it, optimize it, all that kind of stuff? Like, are the people trained properly? Do they have, is there a management team in place that aren't going to leave once the owner goes? Like, how integral is the owner in the organization?
Got it. Yeah. Can it be, is it a self-managing company?
Exactly.
Yeah. Is it
as an example, we had one company we were selling where this company had, on all accounts, on all the different, the FLR, they had very strong presentation, and they were a very attractive business, well-known, great brand, financially sound, a lot of assets that can be transferable, all this other stuff. But the one key thing is that the brand was entirely based on the owner. So, and people didn't want others to do their work. They wanted to know that the owner was there holding their hands. Even if, like if you think of somebody, like you were talking about coaches, you think of somebody like a Tony Robbins, he's built a really good business on his brand name where people get a Tony Robbins coach and they're good. They're okay because he's built such a strong brand. But most of your businesses in the categories we're describing aren't necessarily there, right? Most of them aren't that strong of a global brand where you can work for a company with your name and be just as good, right? Most people want to see that person is involved. So as soon as that person went away, literally the value of that company went down by like 60%. All the assets and everything take away the brand and that specific person, and all of a sudden, like, this business couldn't run.
Right. Totally get that. And then the last one you said is revenue.
Yeah. So this is actually my background. So as I mentioned, the last 18 years before I got into M&A was me driving revenue for companies. So I looked at key areas like product, brand, marketing, sales, and revenue operations. And what's your customer concentration? Are you depending on, a one client for 50% or more of your revenue? Do you have a sales team that, again, Eric, is it you selling for your business and you closing all those key accounts and keeping them around? Or is it, just evenly distributed amongst your sales team so that, if one sales rep disappeared, you'd still have an operating business that runs smooth, right? Like, as an example, are you familiar with Salesforce CRM?
Who isn't?
Okay, good. That's a polarizing opinion there. I'm not going to get into that.
Salesforce is a massive, massive market share. And it's like anybody who's in any kind of sales, they know about Salesforce.
Yeah. So one of the things that they do at their company, and this is actually for the health of their sticky contracts, okay? Every year, no matter what, they could absolutely love Jeff as their rep. Like, they could be the best rep ever, and they could sign because of me, because they're a close personal friend, whatever. But they have a rule that every year they actually change your account rep. Okay. So no matter how you got into the company, by year 2, year 3, year 4, you're going to be dealing with different people. And why they do that is because they have such a strong operational system of training, onboarding, and retaining employees that are of the same level that you could literally interchange them. Okay. And they're still going to get great service.
Is that not the most curious concept? Because when you think about it, let's take the accounting profession, just, for shits and giggles, because that's what we're in. Yeah. If all of a sudden, I know that there's a double-edged sword here, because one of the complaints I hear from business owners is like, when they're moving to us and they talk about their other account, they're like, I'm so pissed off because every year they have a new junior person that's coming in asking me the same bloody questions every year. And I've already answered them. And I'm like, why don't you talk to Bob or Sarah or Fred or Christy or the whole litany of people that I've talked to every other year coming in and asking me the same bloody questions every year. They get pissed off because of the turnover, the change order. Or when you think about that, people come in and they go, I want to know, this is my accountant. And then if you change them every year, I think the value goes away. But at the same time, you're saying in Salesforce, by doing that, the value stays in the enterprise value remains intact. And they've created a system that is so smooth that it obviously mitigates attrition, obviously, because the people are sticking around. But it's an interesting thought for the listener out there. Think about that. Like, where in your business is your business value dependent upon that person's relationship? And I think most of us would go, well, it's all because people do business with people. But how can you prepare the business so that it's sellable, so that it's not completely dependent upon you? And that's where I'm really excited to hear more about a happy exit. Because, by the way, we didn't really open up the kimono on that one. We kind of talked about it briefly, and then you and I went down a rabbit hole, talked about floor and the rest of this stuff. I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
Is what can they do? What can you actually do to get your company ready for this exit? So let's go back to ahappyexit.com. What is the premise of it? What does it? We talked about who it's for. It's for that big group of people that are going to be exiting in the future that maybe don't fit the big M&A mold, and they need help. And you see that they need help getting ready for the exit. And so tell me exactly what ahappyexit.com is going to provide them.
Yeah. So happyexit.com is like your guide, your support system. It's not a counselor. It's not a consultant. It's somewhere you can go that's safe for you. You could know tons about exiting companies and acquiring companies. You could know nothing at all. And what it is that it's something as simple as being able to hop on the chat. So where you use Discord right now for a chat, it's hop on a chat and talk to an expert like Eric, like myself, like your local accountant, anything on there, and get an answer right away to something that's bugging you in your business. So it's something as simple as an online chat to just get information about your business in those four key areas: finance, legal, operations, and revenue. So that's at the very, very base level. That's something you can get. So whether you're selling your business or not, this is going to be helpful for you, because all the same people that are out there selling your business for you are going to be working on your business for you in Happy Exit. So that's something simple. And any business owner, whether you're tech savvy or not, can hop on your phone, do a quick chat, get an answer. Okay.
So a Happy Exit is a resource center for people looking to exit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, because you had talked about it being a community, and then there's an opportunity for people to join early, which again, I want to make sure we get that in there as well. It's like, but like, so let me understand that if you're looking to sell in the near, and it could be, what's the time frame? Like let's put it this way. Every time I interviewed a new client, I always said, okay, so when are you going to sell your business? And they look at me like, Eric, I just started it. What do you mean? I said, well, when you exit it and how you exit it is going to change the way that I structure it for you today. And they're like, oh. So I said, so always think about the exit when you're starting out.
It's
build it to sell it.
Right?
Build to sell.
It's begin with the end in mind, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Even if you're just starting your first business today, there's going to be information on there that's helpful for you, because we're going to establish the framework and provide resources to show you what a healthy, happy exit business looks like. So we're producing right now, we're developing content for our exit certification program, which will define the desired future state. So where you want to end up, you want to end up with a business that looks like this, right? And so we will walk you through, provide resources. So there's self-directed. So there's going to be DIY stuff, templates, workbooks, things like that, videos that will allow you to kind of optimize different aspects of your business wherever you feel you're floundering. We will provide the exit grader. So the exit readiness grader will show you what areas you need to focus on if you don't know already. Okay. And that's going to give you a score and show the different value drivers of what, where you are at each of those four categories. Then we're going to provide do-it-yourself content so that you can optimize on your own. Or if you wanted to actually get ready for sale, you would go through the exit certification course, a program. And actually optimize each of those areas with your own, with self-directed learning, so online learning, and then your own coach, so your own guide to actually walk you through everything and be that personal concierge resource.
So is there also, so if I was to take everything you just talked about, and I'm distilling it down to simplify it for the listener here, is that if you have a business, if you're just starting a business, if you're halfway through the business, or if you're looking to sell the business, a happyexit.com is an incredible resource platform that gives you coaching, tools, and a community to help you prepare for a happy exit.
That's well put. I'm going to record that. I'm going to practice that myself in the shower.
Yeah, it's coaching. Okay, it's coaching.
Yeah,
coaching, tools, and a community.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and so so it's your resource fab. I just love the URL too. By the way, like as soon as you said a happyexit.com, I'm like, damn, that's good. Like that's a good hook. A happy exit. Like I don't know, because. I've been divorced once, and it was I'm going. It was a happy exit, but it wasn't a happy process. But it was a happy exit on the back end, right? I got to tell you that it was a happy exit. But anyways, there's one of the marketing side. So it's coaching. So we got for a happy exit. So and no anywhere in the process. So this is opening up. And again, you've just started this, right? It's just in the beta phases. It's getting started. And then, so what's the structure look like? It's obviously you get to join, you can join, and and so how do people, obviously you go to a happyexit.com, but when is that going to be open for joining and being part of this community?
So you can actually join right now, the waiting list.
Oh, okay.
And you can join in to be the first notified of when we're actually ready to start accepting people into the community. Okay. So we're aiming a launch for September, where we're going to actually have people live and running through the programs and having all the resources. And we're going to be releasing resources in advance, like as an example, that assessment I'm telling you about. We're going to be releasing that beforehand to anybody who joins the wait list.
Okay, and I'm on your website here right now, because this is one of the things I really looked at. It says, unlock a lifetime of value. The first 100 pioneers to join our community will enjoy lifetime access with no sign up or reoccurring fees.
Correct.
Right? So that means if you go to a happyexit.com, you get yourself signed up on the wait list, there'll be nothing. So this is like, you will have a free resource on this. Yeah. Absolutely. And you get the coaching tool, lifetime free access. Again, this is why I love the podcast, is because I want to bring resources to help people grow their business and their life. And part of selling your business is part of the life plan. It's part of the retirement plan. We do that in MBA. We look at the 4 planning pillars. You and I talked about that, like the business, the wealth, the retirement, the estate. We're talking about retirement that you're going to, or maybe not retire, but you're selling the business and it becomes part of that wealth. How do you maximize it, right? Let's maximize that wealth and do it through a happy exit. This is an incredible resource. So if you don't go sign up for this, I might have to give you a call, right? Like, come on, get on this. So I love that. And so one of the tools in there, tools and teachings that you're going to have in there is the floor assessment, right? And to say, where does your company stand today, and what you need to do to make it sellable in the future and to make it a happy exit. And I'm going to ask you this, like, I just don't want to say I'm assuming it, but you're creating a community in there. So you're going to need a connection with other people that are going to be involved in part of the exit. So you do sell side M&A, you're going to need accountants, you're going to need lawyers, you're going to financial people to fund the deal. I mean, You've got all that. And so are you also including them in that community?
Absolutely. We want it to be a robust community of local experts, because I'm sure you know this, Eric, that selling a business is a local transaction, right? You need people in your area that understand the regulations, the rules, the accounting, just everything that you need to know in that market. So we are inviting any and all people in those 4 categories to come join the community and be our experts, be the people on the street providing that advice and making sure that, your brand is out there, and that you can help your local people wanting to buy or sell a business.
That's awesome, because this is one of the interesting things that I find what happens. And because so my other program that I have is the Accountant Success Formula. So I coach accounting firms, showing them how to update their business model. MBA was one that I had worked with, and then they loved it so much they asked me to join as a partner. I'm like, well, hell yeah. So let's get on it, right? And so, but the one thing that I find interesting is that these accountants, lawyers, mortgage brokers, like the financiers, I got a little tip for you. They're all owners too. They're all business owners too. By the way, a happy exit works for you, right? So I'm like, and I love that phrase, and accountants and lawyers they're like technicians having an entrepreneurial seizure. They don't, you're a business owner, act like one, right? And that's the thing that drives me crazy about the accounting profession is like, you've got these ivory tower syndrome accountants that are telling business owners what they should be doing and telling them the tax implications of this and that and the other thing. And they're not thinking like an entrepreneur, not thinking like a business owner. You know what I mean? And ultimately, and we also talked about this at lunch, great way to ruin a good business deal is to get accountants and lawyers involved.
Yep. Yeah. It's the truth. And what's crazy, Eric? My lawyer is a business owner, and he's business minded, and he taught me how to write a contract, because I have a real estate license too. I have to write contracts too, unfortunately. But he taught me how to write contracts that tell a story, that protect you and your partner in the contract, in the agreement, so that you're both just having a win-win attitude and you're protected at the same time. So but when you select the right people and people think the way you're talking about, Eric, man, does it make business easy. Like, I've had, with his contracts that he's provided me, I've had issues. You always have it in business. Things happen. And they have been so quickly resolved because it's written in plain language. It's written in a way that speaks like we do, not, those ivory tower stuffy people. It's like, no, be real. We're people. And we go for drinks. We go for boats. We go to the mountains in the winter for skiing and snowboarding and stuff. Like, we're humans. So let's just act like humans, and let's all help each other build value for each other's businesses so that we can all retire happy or move on to our next thing with a happy exit.
Exactly. And that's why, again, at lunch, we hit it off so well. And we were talking about the deals and accountants and lawyers killing it. It's like, it just makes me want to scream. But, when it comes into dealing with clients, one of the questions I would always ask them, or if we're going to do a shareholders agreement or whatever, we got to get everything set up. Every transaction has 3 parts. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Or shall we call it the entry, the during, and the exit. And if you look at any agreement on that, and when you think about your own business, think about the same thing. How do I start my business up? How do I get it started? Who's coming together? Who's bringing what? And then during the middle, what am I going to do during the during part? And then when it goes to exit at the end, how does it exit? Or how do we separate ways and all the rest of that? And actually, come to think of it, a premarital agreement on my first one would have been a great... See, if I had thought through that one through, I would have actually had that in place. I would have, always have the end in mind on that one. Like, actually have the agreement in place to say, okay, if and when you bump your head or I bump my head, this is how we exit. Yeah. Right? That would have been a lot smarter on my first one. By the way, I'm happily married a second time, a beautiful girl and wonderful. We had a little beautiful girl named Isla, the daughter of ours, which is fantastic. So I didn't put it together an agreement on that one because I'm not planning on exiting this one. This is the only way I'm going to exit this one is when I exit the planet. That's my plan on that one.
Yeah, but that is a good plan.
That is yeah. Thank you. Jeff, this is fantastic. This has been a great call. I'm really excited to see where ahappyexit.com goes. Again, you and I hit it off so well. We think like entrepreneurs. You've done the same thing as me as you started on the ground up. You've built businesses. You've exited business. I've done the same thing, exited business. You've felt the emotions and the struggles all the way through and the highs and lows. And this asset that you're bringing to the market, ahappyexit.com, I can't wait to see what kind of impact it has. And I'm definitely signing up, and I'm going to be part of that community as well. So hopefully our listeners will also take you up on that. And then I can see us having lots more calls in the future and more podcasts in the future. Sound like a plan?
Absolutely, Eric. We got lots to talk about, man.
Yeah. We just scratched the surface. We'll call it, this is our introductory program. Wait, there's more. Get into the Ginsu knife set commercials, but then that dates me right there. So, but wait, there's more. If you order right now, you get this great paring knife and Ginsu knife set for $19.95. Maybe that's what we need to do on the happyexit.com. Is that if you join right now, you will also get a Ginsu knife set, and then you'll know exactly what era they came from, right? Like so other people will be typing in, "What the hell's a Ginsu knife set?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're not our people."
Oh my god! That'll be fun. You know what? You might see some cheesy stuff, but it's in good fun. It's all for help. It's all for you guys.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for having me, Eric. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, see you next time.
Yeah, bye.
If you're a business owner or CPA who believes the accounting profession has let you down, then please reach out to us at www.mbacpa.ca so we can have a chat to see if we're a fit to work together. We're always looking forward to talking to you. See you next time.